Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Each week, I invite you to sit in on a conversation with a new guest where we get level, bringing you real people, real issues, and real conversations. My hope is you walk away from the show inspired and equipped to level up in your own life and leadership. If you would like a copy of the best of notes and quotes, please subscribe to my email list at louisehreed.com. And finally, you all know that I love to give away exclusive Lady Boss loyalty swag as a way of saying thank you to you for spending your time with me. To get your hands on some, simply comment on a podcast episode with the hashtag LadyBossLoyalty and you will automatically be entered into the draw. Without further ado, let me introduce you to today's guest. This is a big one, folks. So today we have with us the amazing Nadine Lajoie, featured on Forbes, USA Today, ABC, Fox, and CBS, #1 best-selling author. Nadine is a national social security advisor, international speaker, and award-winning entrepreneur to help business owners and women to achieve financial and business success. She is teaching about leadership, champion mindset, and advanced tax planning concepts that most CPA don't offer their clients, including safe money, growth, and TFRA. Now, as if that's not kick-ass enough, keep listening. She also became an accomplished real estate investor, mentor, champion motorcycle racer, champion yacht racer. She's co-authored with Les Brown and was featured in magazines along with Oprah Winfrey and Ziglar, and shared the Tedx California Women's Conference stages among top speakers in the USA, Canada, Africa, India, including the likes of Jamie Lee Curtis, Les Brown, Hopkins, Marianne Williamson, just to name a few. The list is very long. Nadine has earned her Bachelor in Actuarial Sciences in 1992. In 1995, she launched a highly successful financial business in Quebec, won awards, various awards, before she semi-retired at age 36. She brings unparalleled dynamism, focus, discipline, vision, and champion mindset to her audience. Top 10 volleyball player at the Canadian Nationals, injuries compelled her to change direction. She bought her first motorcycle in 2001, and 2 years later, she started motorcycle road racing. In 2007, she finished 3rd Daytona Bike Week against 75 men and 9th overall. I mean, just the list goes on. Her passion, energy, and knowledge and strategies, I know, transforms not only teams, it will transform you through this conversation that I have with her today. So please join us and join me in welcoming Nadine to the show. Welcome, Nadine.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're so welcome. I read and I only read part of your amazing bio. I was trying to make it shorter and I cut some stuff out and I still couldn't make it shorter than that, because it's like, how can you cut those things? How can you cut those things out? I'm thrilled to have you on the show. I find you extremely fascinating in not only the things that you've done in your life, but how you have melded those passions, knowledge, and expertise together and how you serve others. So I look forward to teasing out some of those things today. When I talk about getting level, I really mean about getting level and real in our conversations. What do you think we need to get more real about?
Yeah, that's a great question, especially in those times. I think the main reason that the society is so much in the distress right now is because a lot of people lack of integrity, lack of commitment, and lack of honesty with themselves. And to get level, as you say, if you're honest with yourself, that would be easier to teach the next generation, that would be able to have communication with your family, your boyfriend, your husband, your kids. And I think communication is really a bad part of the society in the last 10 or 20 years. And I say that since so many years, because people are not real anymore. People are just superficial. I'm living in Orange County, California, and sometimes I go out and I meet people and I'm like, oh my God, people cannot be real anymore. It looks like everybody has a facade. And that's, I think, the accumulation of the society in the last 30 years. Stop being yourself is not a good thing. And remember, like 20, 30 years ago, when women like me were in a man-dominated industry, we tried to dress as a guy with the jacket and the pants and all that. Like, we cannot do business as a man. We can do business only as a woman. So we need to be vulnerable, having a lot of communication. We have a lot of skills in relationships. We need to use all those skills. God created us, men and women, equally and not equally, to be able to complement each other and being able to bring more holistic way of life, business, personal growth, spirituality, coaching. Everything needs to be integrated, and that's the only way I think we can move forward and create the new society coming up.
Oh my gosh, so much yumminess in what you just shared. So thanks for all of that. And it really gives a great opening and perspective to where you come from. One of the things that you just said that I find particularly interesting is you said we were created equally and not equally. And I think I agree with that first and foremost, and also have seen that not been allowed really or fully utilized in the workplace. How you're an example of that in terms of the things and the ceilings that you have smashed through your life. How do we start to unpack that? How do we start to show up as our honest self with integrity as a woman in let's say in a male dominated industry? Tell us how you did that.
Actually, I would like to share my 5 secrets of the high achiever, because I asked this question to myself so many times, and I said how I was able to reach top 10 in volleyball in Canada and top 20% in Canada in mathematics, in business, and now motorcycle racing, yacht racing, how I was able to reach those levels and break those ceiling glass, as you say. So the 5 secrets of the high achiever, the first one is focus. If you focus on what you want, and if you focus on all the action and all that with the 5 steps, you will see you can apply that to everything in business. And my first accomplishment was really piano. Since 4 or 5 years old, I played piano. I sang. I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to be like Celine Dion in 1984 when she sang for the Pope. I thought that I was hoping she will be sick so I can raise my hand and sing instead of Celine Dion. Okay, I was going to play to see the Nordique de Quebec, and I was hoping the organist, like the person who was singing the national anthem, would be sick, so like that I can sing it. Like that was my first dream, and I got crushed a lot, and I got depressed at 25 years old, and I'll share a little bit about that story. But what makes me alive and keep alive is to focus on my dreams. Because if you stop dreaming, you start dying. And the focus on the dream, on your on your skills, on your knowledge, on whatever you are not good at, you need to focus to kind of improve yourself every time.
Wow.
So, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, wow, if you stop dreaming, you start dying.
Yeah. And right now we see that a lot because we are all stuck at home and people are depressed because we don't know what the new world will bring us. And it's pretty scary and discouraging and encouraging at the same time. You know, life is always black and white and light and dark and fun and depression. The life is always balanced. A little bit like my motorcycle racing. You see the picture behind me?
I love it.
So this is one of my favorite pictures because it really represents to be balanced into the imbalance.
Wow.
Like life, like business, motorcycle racing is going left and right, and you are never sitting on the seat of your bike. You always have the knee on the ground as close as possible and touching the ground to reach the limit. So you always need to get out of your comfort zone. And that brings me to my second point, is the adrenaline. How in life you get up and you smile every day and you are excited, or you don't go sleep at night early because you have a project you are working on. You need to find what is your adrenaline and what is your real passion. And for me, motorcycle represent that a lot, because the adrenaline is going at 180 miles per hour, putting your knee on the ground, passing somebody on the inside, somebody else passing you on the outside. It's really like life. And with that adrenaline, sometimes we are going too fast, sometimes we are going too slow. And one of my best saying is, if you think you are going fast, it's because you are going slow. If you think you are going slow, it's because you are going fast. What does that mean? Is when you start motorcycle racing at 5 miles per hour, I drop my bike, I don't know how many times between 0 and 5 miles per hour, because I barely touch the ground. But once you get the momentum and the get going, let's say your skills level is at 100 miles per hour. So if you go at 50 miles per hour, you do that one hand and you are not worried about anything. Life feels slow. On the other way, if you're trying to go to 140 miles per hour and your skill level is only at 100, that's where there is a discrepancy here. That's where people do bankruptcy. That's where they lose their house. That's where they lose their health or their family, or they divorce and all that, because the skill level never reach the amount of where you want to go. So many times in business, and that's why, you know, business coaching and all that, how we help entrepreneurs, women, to kind of take a step back, level your skills, upgrade your skills, your energy, your technology, your system implementation and all that. And that's how you are able to reach a new level. And that's why without adrenaline, it's impossible to do that, because you always need to push yourself to the limit, to the completely the last limit possible, so you don't crash, but you're going fast enough so you can pass your competitors.
Okay, fantastic. I love it. So that's number 2. That's the second secret of the high achiever. What's the third?
The third is focus, adrenaline, discipline. This is the one we don't like. Right? When I was a pianist, I was practicing an hour and a half a day. When I started to be a volleyball player, I was practicing 2 or 3 times a week on top of my piano, on top of my study and all that. And I was really a perfectionist, which kind of slow people down. And what I mean by that is, if you chase perfection, you will never accomplish the things in your life. You can chase excellence and be at 80% of the 100%, because we chase the top 20% for 80% of our life. We get ourselves miserable. We just chase perfection and we forgot everything around us. And that's why I was able to accomplish so many things in my life when I stopped to be a perfectionist. When I was in school, I was so depressed. I had 94% and I was crying. And on top of it, I was playing volleyball and I was doing piano. So the discipline, that's what teach me, okay, you need to sit down and practice and do, and the discipline and the practice is a little bit different. The discipline is more in your head.
Right.
And the discipline is, okay, I'm getting up, I'm going to train, I do my meditation or this and that. So this is the discipline. It's kind of a series of habits that kind of helps you to grow and to go further in your life. Okay.
Before we move on to numbers 4 and 5, do you mind if I ask you a few questions about discipline as it relates to, okay, it's not going to derail you too much if I do that? No. Okay.
I'm used to do that.
Okay. So I love all of this, and I'm a huge fan of creating daily rituals and daily habits, considering, you know, we make about they said we make about 30,000 decisions in a day. a lot of which are subconscious, and it's a lot easier for us to just go about some of the things that are really important to us in a more habitual way. Anyway, I'll stop with the background on that. What are your daily habits or rituals that you currently have that allow you to continue? So I'm just looking for some examples, right? So our listeners can understand how a woman like you continues to achieve at the level that you're achieving at. Obviously, you're going to be following your 5 secrets, but from a discipline perspective, what are some of those, what are a series of habits that you utilize to keep you achieving?
That's a good question. One of the first thing or the last thing doing before I go to bed, I try to go to bed with my my five things to be grateful for, right? One of my coaches and many coaches are teaching that, to be grateful. And even if life is not good, it's okay, I'm grateful I have a nice place, or I can have food every day. So sometimes we don't realize how many things we have in life. And I am one of the one who have a tendency of looking the glass half empty than half full. Because when you are a high achiever, you always look for your next thing and your next dream or your next accomplishment. And sometimes in life, there are stretch of years that everything goes right. And sometimes there is stretch in years that everything goes wrong. And you feel that everything goes wrong. So those 5, being grateful at night. One of the things also I do my kind of to-do list on my text when I go to bed, the top 3 things or the top 5 things I want to accomplish in the morning. Because I have 5 different kinds of businesses, and one day I will focus on real estate, one day I will focus on the tax strategy, one day I will focus on contacting CPA. So you need to be really disciplined again, and divide your schedule in blocks of 2 or 3 hours, or mornings and afternoons. And me, I cannot do the same thing for 8 hours. I get too bored of it. So I usually plan my schedule about every 2 hours. I meet clients every hour, but the days that I don't meet the client, I try to plan 2 hours for this, 2 hours for that. And that really helps you to get in the groove and to get into the focus again, right? When you practice on the racetrack, you cannot just focus on the finish line. Every corner counts. So when you go practice again and again, the first practice you will practice, let's say, your corner number 2, and the second practice you practice the corner number 5 and number 12. So along the last 2-3 days before the race, you practice and you focus. That's why I'm saying keep your schedule blocked by 2 or 3 hours, because now you can focus. And once the race happening, now everything is kind of bringing back together. And that's where during the race, you kind of don't think about the discipline or about the action you're doing, because you're doing it like subconsciously.
Right. Love it. I love it. So we've got focus, adrenaline, discipline. What's 4?
Number 4 is coaching. Coaching, an expression in French, is la crème de la crème, the best of the best. And one of my major mentor here in the US, when I came here in 2007, I barely spoke English. And still now, I barely speak English. So bear with me.
No, your English is fantastic. I didn't know that. That's pretty new.
2007, and 3 years later, I joined a group, CEO Space International. It's a private group for business owners all around the world, and I met Les Brown. So I brought my poster, my big poster with my motorcycle, and I was not supposed to have a meeting with him, but because of that poster, and I was so bold. Remember, you said be bold, be brave, and be happy. Mm-hmm. With my adrenaline, my passion, I got bold. I had my motorcycle jacket at business events for my branding, right? So people were all asking me. My motorcycle jacket is pretty hammered too. Like, I crashed a couple of times, and people are, well, what? And my name is on the back. So I really branded myself. Mm-hmm. And so when I arrived with Les Brown, I say, hey, this is me. I teach people how to get champion and having the focus, adrenaline, and be bold in life, or whatever. I don't remember what I said, but with that, he took that, he said, oh, can you sign it to me? So Les Brown is asking me an autograph. So for me, that was one of my best wins, I think, in my life. And finally, I sat down with him for maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and he offered me, he said, and later during that week, that mentor week, his assistant, and he saw me, he said, hey, this girl is in the book and she doesn't need to do the pre-requirement, she already passed.
Wow.
Because what I do is really unique. And even when I started here in 2007, when I did my train the trainer, and I was saying, oh yeah, I want to speak about leadership, business, personal growth, motorcycle racing. I want to sing also. People were like, no, you need to choose to be a singer or you need to choose to be a speaker, but you cannot be both. And motorcycle racing, people has a lot of bad connotation of that. I will just skip everything. And that is what kind of really pissed me off for a couple of years. I really tried to fit the mold and the box, but I never fit. And I think having those coaches, the best of the best, you take all their advice, you try it, and you kind of manage it in your way. And that's what I discovered for me that works. Maybe not work for you guys, but for me, I try. I'm really open-minded. I'm really receptive. I try 110%, but if it doesn't fit right with me, and we come back to that honesty in the beginning, right? It didn't feel right to me to not sing on stage because I wanted to be Celine Dion. Now I'm on stage speaking. I have a platform. I can sing at least half a song or one song. And now some people are telling me no. So it didn't fit right with me. And when I started to kind of go back to my authenticity, my focus, adrenaline, discipline, coaching, I never stopped being coach. Never. Sometimes I had like 2 or 3 coaches at a time. And for my book, my #1 bestseller book is Win the Race of Life. I'm co-author with 5 or 6 different other books because my first book was with Les Brown, his team, his marketing team, his PR team. Everybody, they teach us how to make Les Brown bestseller book. What I did exactly the same thing for my book. Right. And Les Brown got sick, and finally his book was delayed. So my book was out first, and his book was out second. But I was able to put my name on the #1 bestseller list on Amazon by myself because I learned from la crème de la crème.
Amazing. What a great, I love that example. And kudos to you. Congratulations to you. And thanks for sharing that win with us and linking that into the value of your top 5 secrets. So number 5. I wish I could do a drum roll for you.
Number 5 is practice. Practice. When I was volleyball, I was practicing at home, practicing every breaks at the school. I was at the gymnast. We were practicing. We were doing pepper and all that. When I started motorcycle racing, same thing. I was the first one on the racetrack in the morning, even if it was cold for people in California. But I'm coming from Canada, so I didn't really care. Or when it was raining, I was on the racetrack. People said, like, she's crazy. I was always the first one, even if it was cold, the last one, even if I was tired, because you can learn something different when you are challenged. And the more you ride in the rain and in those challenges and all that, and the more you are in a comfort zone, again, it's bringing your skill to a new level when you are stressed, when life doesn't go good, when business doesn't run good, when you're stuck at home, right? Right now we are in a period of challenge that we can use to learn new skills, to learn new process or new technology. Zoom, like I do all my meeting on Zoom right now, and I'm still stuck at home after 4 months. So we need to learn something different and practice, because if you don't practice and if you don't adapt with the new life, the new business, the new society, if you don't adapt, you will die, because if somebody in front of you is racing and is falling, if you don't adapt and you run on it, you will crash too and you might die. So that's why you need to kind of curve and go somewhere else. Sometimes you get into the gravel, sometimes you lose your bike too. But if you don't adapt, you have absolutely no chance to survive every challenges you have in life.
Wow. It's amazing to me how you developed this champion mindset and you put that into practice throughout your life, through all of the things that you've been sharing with us, through what I shared in your bio. You said you've got 5 businesses. Talk about, I'm just thinking of all the grit and the perseverance that you have. Where did this come from? How did you hone this in those? Because this doesn't just happen. This takes years to develop. What was little Nadine like? Tell us what your story is around having honed this.
Yeah, this is the bad story coming up right now, right? When I was young, I was always depressed, always negative. It was raining outside and I was pissed, and I had 94% and I was pissed. So I was kind of a negative person. I didn't have any friends. I was the black sheep, always. I'm always the extraterrestrial ovni, whatever. I'm always outside the box, because for me, there is no box. But once you are like that, and I was good at music, right? So the people at school didn't like me. And I was good at sports, so people in music didn't like me. And I was good at school. So I was good in 3 different things, but I could not find friends or people to understand me, because I'm too complex for most people. And that's what led me into my 25th year of depression. I always said, if life doesn't go well, if life is like that, I will kill myself at 25 years old. And 3 weeks, actually, my birthday is the 9th of May. I got sick the 2nd of May. I got sick for 18 days. I lost 18 pounds. I got a pneumonia. That means you don't want to live. You don't want to breathe. You don't want to be on this earth. And one of my friends brought me the book, in French is Le Livre des Malaises et Maladies, in French, the book of all the psychosomatic relationship with your health problems. So listen to your body. So for 3 weeks, I was stuck at home and crying, didn't take barely my shower in 18 days. I was just, I'm done with this life. And it was not good for my job. My boyfriend was about to quit me. We had just bought a house. I didn't have any money. So nothing worked. And one last day, I called my mom at 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and she listened to me. And the reason is because one TV host was saying that was a suicide. That was kind of Jeanette Bertrand is kind of the Oprah Winfrey of the US, I would say. And she said, if you want to commit suicide, you can do it. But you owe yourself at least one last phone call. And that's why I called my mom. And this morning, she listened to me with her heart, with her soul. And that's why I started to write my book. Then chapter 4 is that story in my book. And that's why I started to speak, inspiring people with my story, because I went from suicidal to successful. And I accomplished so many things in my life. And my first dream of being on stage and singing was not realized. And I said, I cannot live this planet without realizing that dream. And that's why I sing that song almost all the time. When you're down and trouble and you need some loving care, and nothing is going right, you've got a friend, oh yeah, you've got a friend, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow, what a voice, what a story, what a comeback. And again, the grit and perseverance, and shout out to your mama. Mama's something special. So I'm glad that you had her at that time.
Yeah.
To do that. Amazing how serendipitous things are as well at times, that you heard that that person speak at that time, and that you took that action, and then what happened next. And so it sounds like that was that the pivot then, and what really started to call to.
I didn't see it until later,
okay.
right? So that happened at 25 years old, and I started to listen to tapes and motivation, and going to seminars and read books, and Chicken Soup for the Soul, and The Monkey Who Sold His Ferrari, and Who Moved My Cheese, right? A lot of people should read Who Moved My Cheese right now, right? Because we are attached to our old reality, and now we need to transition into a new reality. And I prefer to call that new reality the new normal. So the new word, and the new evolved word, and conscious word. I think a lot of people are awakening, like I did in 1999 when I was 29 years old. One of my spiritual friends, she brought me to the spiritual path and spiritual seminars and all that. And that's where I started to discover myself, and discovered that this moment at 25 years old was really my break-even point, where I started to grow and to expand my own self.
Wow. And so what happened next then, from, looking at your life now with five businesses and all of these other champion, these accolades along the way? Where did your career go first? I'm just really interested to understand sort of that journey and path.
And you heard that life is a vicious circle, right? And it's exactly what happened to me. So my first love was music and piano, right? My second love was volleyball. And at school, I was an actuary by trade. So from 1989 to 1992, I studied actuarial science. They had like 400% employment rate. That was, I could earn $180,000 a year. Finally ended up to be a secretary in 92 because of the recession 1991, to be working with insurance companies as an assistant. And I was barely earning $18,000 Canadian dollar, living in Montreal in my one bedroom apartment in the snow, when my dreams were to make 180,000 and work in Los Angeles or Sydney in Australia. So that was my two big dreams. So from there, for those 2-3 years, I was so depressed. I was working as an assistant, and in 1995, when I was 25 years old, somebody told me, hey, you need to change your life because of that pneumonia. And that's where I saw a little ad: be your own boss, do your own schedule, call us. A little 2-line, like the cheapest ad you can even buy on the newspaper. I went there, and my life changed again, because now I got into the finance business. But at the beginning, you need to take your insurance license. And after that, it took me about 2.5 years to do my financial planning license, my mutual fund license. And within 11 years in that business, I was able to semi-retire at the age of 36. Again, I applied those 5 secrets of the high achiever, help people to save money. I learned from my multi-millionaire clients, because one of my clients was a $10 million tax shelter for $1 million. And on this case, particularly, I made $125,000 commission because the guy saved $10 million, right? The company is paying us. It doesn't cost anything to the client. But he said, I cannot sign until you meet my CPA and my attorney. And that's what I did. I did a presentation to them about the TFRA, the tax-free retirement account, and the safe money growth inside of it. And I kind of explained that to them, and they said, we had about 10 presentations. We never understood that. I'm a one-page sheet girl, right?
Wow. Yeah.
Here is your mutual fund. Here is this. At retirement, I think this guy was getting 39% more money. And in between, he has a $10 million tax shelter if him or his son was dying for buying back the company. He had a big manufacturing company that worth $20 million. So it's why we needed a $10 million tax shelter. So that was my desire of finance and maths and all that. But because at 36, I semi-retired, and that's where I start motorcycle racing at 34. My first race was at 33, my first bike at 31. But in between, because you have a job that is not a job, that is being an entrepreneur, so you have flexible schedule, you do whatever you want, when you want it, as long as you have enough money to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was meaning really those three criteria, and semi-retired and start to be a speaker, come here in the US, sold my house and my car, bought an RV, traveled 21 states, 10,000 miles by myself. I didn't even have paper spray or gun with me. I've never been afraid. I'm always about, if you have a good bubble of protection, people will be good with you. But finally, I learned it's not always true, but that's another story.
That's another.
That's another story.
That's a story of a wine.
Yeah, because sometimes I'm too I trust too much people, and I got bad business deal and people who owe me money and real estate deal flop, and like everybody has their own challenge. But because of all that, and I was motorcycle racing and singing at the racetrack with my guitar and telling my story about the suicide, everybody was saying, hey, you need to write your book. You need to become a speaker. And that's where I become a speaker, blah, blah, blah. Now I'm a speaker since so many years, but the speaking industry doesn't make as much money than before I came into the business coaching and all that. And a couple of years ago, the real estate is too high here in California to buy and fix and flip. So I said, I need to recycle myself again. Really. And really. And I'm like, okay, I'm not recycling and go from scratch again. So finally, I decided to go back in the financial business. So that's why I'm saying life is a vicious circle. And it kind of all came back. So now I speak. I do the real estate investment as long as the market will crash. And I do those tax strategies, save money, grow, tax-free retirement account. And now I'm starting to speak in the finance business.
Amazing.
So you see all the skills that you accumulate in life, it's not necessarily leading you where you want to be, but where God wants you to be. And I disagree a lot with God and his timing, right? But in the end, after 2, 3, 4, 5 years, 10 years, 13 years, when you look back at your life, you say, oh yeah, that's why I got that. And how many times we hear people, oh, I got the cancer and that's the best thing that happened in my life. That saved my marriage, right? So we always need to look at the obstacle and the challenges. Of course, when you are in it, it's not easy, but later on, we will understand what's going on, but not on the spot, unfortunately.
Oh, I love that. And I love that you said that you get, you disagree with God's timing. And in the end, it makes sense. Wayne Dyer, well, he wrote many books in his lifetime. One I read most recently, and it wasn't a new one, it was I Can See Clearly Now. And it was exactly, a story of his life, which connects all of the dots. So he writes it from a little boy all through his life. And it's as these times have passed and reflecting back, he can now connect all of those pieces and understand why they happened. And that doesn't happen in our time, as much as we may wish to dictate that timing, especially high achievers. Sometimes the universe or God definitely has another plan. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about your business. As we're about 10 minutes left of the show, and I really want to hear more about who you maybe the financial business in particular, because I see a lot of women, myself included, challenged in this area, right? So whether it's women business owners, whether it's women who are just looking to take charge of their own finances, whether it's women who have left a marriage where their partner had been the one that would really take care of the finances. Tell us a little bit more about your approach to this and who you serve.
Yeah, that's a good question. And unfortunately, again, in the last 30 years, we are going into a downhill on the finance side because people overconsume. They are buying jeans at $200 for their kids and hat at $100 and iPhone at $800. Yeah, but money doesn't grow in tree, right? So over the last 31 years, I'm in the finance business, I can see the people are saving less and less money. Mm. The pension plan are underfunded. Since 2016 is the last data in California, the plan are 36% underfunded. That means, and we knew in 1989 when I started in actuary, we were talking about the funk in 2020s and 2030s. Because the baby boomer are going to retire, the Generation X, we are not enough people to contribute to their mm-hmm. pension plan. And the millennials are still too young and not earning enough money, $30,000, $40,000 to pay for those people at 100. So we have a big fund. Okay, in 2020s and 2030s, it might take like 10 or 15 years to get out of that. Right? Like Japan, 23 years, they are still not out of their real estate fund. Europe, 11 years, they are still not back up. Here in the US, we are pretty lucky. Usually we are 8.6 years going up, 1.3 years going down, minus 42%. Lately, in a month, we lost 40%, 37%. Right? And this is one of the big major macroeconomic problem, the funk, right? Like the system is collapsing and we don't know how much we'll be able to recuperate that. And if it would take 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years now with the COVID-19, mm-hmm. oh, we don't know, mm-hmm. right? The other big problem we have, especially as a woman, most women never have as big a pension plan than the men because of the kids and also because of the inequality in salaries and all that. And yes, we are in 2020 and yes, there is still stats about that. So show me your stat if you disagree with me, but every year I'm searching, there is only 4.2% of the women who are CEOs in a big high mm-hmm. company like Fortune 1000 or Fortune 500. So we still have a problem because we don't have enough money as a pension plan for those who has a pension plan. I never got one. I'm 25 years in the business by myself, self-entrepreneur, and no pension plan. And people are not saving because people are consuming. They prefer to have a second house or a second car, but nobody never contributes into their retirement planning. And the average for people who has a CPA, which is usually a little bit higher end, right? Only 60% of the people has an IRA, and the average before the crash was $143,000. At 5%, that gives you $7,000 a year. So how can people survive at mm-hmm. retirement? 89% of the people at retirement don't have enough money. And that's why we need to have different businesses, different sources of income. And that brought me to the six steps that I want to share with people. And I have kind of a free video online at nadinecoaching.com. Is number one, you need to adapt your message and your template. Right? You need to, so this is week number one, message and template, your story, your radio show, how to build your radio show and all that. And number two is the branding, sales and marketing. 80% of your business, if not 90%, is about branding, sales and marketing. You need to have a professional website. And I'm not talking about buying a website at $5,000 or $1,000, $10,000. I can show you how to get your website for less than $100, which includes some branding in it. Okay, so there is no excuse now anymore for people to be in business. And I'm saying that because I know people at 65 years old will not have enough money to survive. The pension plan are underfunded, so they might wake up one day and say, hey, instead of giving you 70% of your retirement plan, now we are running out of money, we're giving you only 50%. I have about 10 clients with a secure job at the city who lost their job within 2 weeks. Right? Wow. So people needs to be prepared. They need to buy books, to write books, to find another stream of income, online training or whatever. And that's why the week number 2 with the branding, sales, and marketing is really important. Number 3 is media exposure and press kit. That's why we do those radio shows for people to discover each other and your followers, my followers. But if you are not press ready, people will never interview you. And at the beginning, I tried to be on radio show, TV, magazine. It took me a couple of years because I was not press ready. Right. I didn't have those little sound bites or those little stories to include in any kind of radio show. You can interview me on any kind of radio show, and I'll be able to fit my motorcycle, my 5 Secrets of the High Achiever. So you need to be press ready. People can just go on my website, go on my press kit and copy me. Right? That's what I did. I went to Les Brown. I went to Jack Canfield, to T. Harv Eker. I went to all the websites, Lisa Nichols. I saw everything that I like, everything I don't like, and I just adapt my own website. I built my first full website by myself until somebody sponsored me a website. But besides that, I never spent more than $100 or $200 for my website, okay? So it's not worthy to spend that much money at the beginning. So you need to be press-worthy. Number 4 is productivity and efficiency, right? You need to have time management secrets. You need to control your free time. You need to measure. You need to have the 21-day good habit going on. And what are the styles between the man and the woman, the alpha and the beta? So you need to learn a lot of things so like that you can be productive and efficient, okay? And this is exactly the same thing with the TFRA, the tax-free retirement account, Save Money Grow. If you don't have a system, if you don't put money aside every month, if you don't have a tax-free strategy, trust me, the government loves you. Because for every $100 30s and 40 years old are putting into their retirement right now, the government will charge you taxes on $600, $700, $800. So the government loves you. They push you whatever narrative they want to put money in 401ks, IRAs, 403bs, and all that. While the Roth IRA is probably my number 2 and the TFRA is my number 1. So TFRA, Roth IRA, and number 3 is a regular account. Because again, if you don't save taxes, government will get you in. And that's one of the reasons real estate investment is the best things to do too.
Okay, we've got 2 minutes, maybe 2 minutes. Quickly, what's 5 and 6? So
number 5 is business, strategy, and finance. So that's what we were talking about. You need to eliminate your debt, do your budget, do a plan, at least 1 hour a year. I don't ask you a lot, only 1 hour a year. And number 6 is having an action plan, 36 goals in 36 months. Again, we go back at the beginning. If you stop dreaming, you start dying. So that's why the action plan, 36 goals in the next 36 months will keep you busy enough to stay alive.
Oh my goodness. The notes I took are insane. Thank you for all of that, Nadine. Thank you so much for your time. NadineCoaching.com. You can find this, you can find more, you can reach out to Nadine, you can learn from her, you can hire her. Can people find your book on there too? NadineCoaching.com?
Yes,
Get
everything.
The book. Nadine, so much gratitude to you. Thank you so much for spending all of this time and sharing so many gems with us on the show today.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
And of course, as always, thanks to all of you as well for taking the time today to tune into the show. And I'd like to invite you to contact me directly at louisehreed.com if you have any questions or want to talk to me about coaching, speaking engagements, or leadership consulting. Let's all live inspired and grow together and be brave, be bold, and be happy. Until next week, I'm Louise H. Reed, wishing all of you an amazing day. Goodbye, my friends.